couple contract dynamics in Arizona and Baltimore with their quarterback. So we got Murray wants a new contract. Lamar Jackson, he hasn't engaged with the Ravens despite the Ravens looking to get it done. So Jackson and Murray both absent from the most recent rounds of OTAs. I mean, how concerned are you that these situations, could end up impacting their offenses, Pearce?
I'm not so concerned about them getting the contracts taken care of. Eventually it'll work its way out, but I would be a little bit worried about missing some of these OTA reps. You look back at last season with Aaron Rodgers not participating in the offseason or the preseason, and we all remember how dreadful they looked in their first game. Rodgers got it together. That offense got it together, but that was a pretty well-tuned offense. They were fine. I could see the Ravens or even the Cardinals struggling a little bit out of the gates just by not getting these reps. The Ravens has a unproven wide receiver core. They definitely need to get work with the quarterback. I mean, you can miss other people, but you can't be missing your starting quarterback. And the same thing with the Cardinals. They need to get reps between Murray and Hollywood Brown. It's not good. It's not an ideal situation. I think ultimately, when everything's said and done, things will be fine, though.
Geoff, what worries you the most about the absence of these two guys?
Yeah, so I'd have way bigger concerns if I was an Arizona Cardinal fan. I mean, I think that with Baltimore, and Pearce kind of alluded to this, like that offense, they kind of know what they're doing. I mean, it's the same head coaching staff. Lamar's been there for a few years. It's run-based anyways, so it's not really like a huge timing-based offense or anything like that. And yeah, that Marquise Brown is gone, so maybe there's some new receivers to work in, but I don't think it's that big a deal. I think that the worry would come from Arizona. No DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games. You've got Marquise Brown, who hasn't exactly proven himself to be the most reliable, consistent receiver in the NFL. And now you're asking him to work in with Kyler Murray. Kyler had a pretty good year last year. I see some he's good in deep ball percentages. Deep ball percentages can be kind of like a year-to-year thing, though. Alex Smith led the league in deep ball percentage one year, just to let people know, or deep ball rating, excuse me. So, Kyler Murray is the guy I would be fearful of here. He's definitely regressing towards the end of 2021, did not have a good playoffs, and now he's got to work in new receivers. Now he's skipping time. That's not a good recipe. I could definitely see Arizona. Arizona's a team I'm fading anyways, and I could definitely see them starting slow for the simple fact that they're going to miss some of these reps.
I mean, Geoff, Allen Lazard out in Green Bay, he wants a long-term deal before he shows up to minicamp. And you know this, everyone knows this watching. Like, he's one of the few guys on this roster that actually has that, camaraderie with Aaron Rodgers, who did say, on Tuesday, he actually definitely wants to spend the rest of his career in Green Bay. But for the Packers to keep him happy, Geoff, do you feel like they got to get a deal done with Lazard?
I mean, what a flip in Aaron Rodgers. Like, a year and a half ago, we were like, he's never playing Green Bay again. Now he's content. He's like, I'm never leaving Green Bay. It's the best place on earth. I don't know.
Money talks, man. Money talks.
Maybe Shailene Woodley at something. I don't know. I'm just saying. But look, as far as Lazard goes, it's funny. My first inclination is it's Allen Lazard. Like, who cares? But look at the Packers depth chart, man. Like, this wide receiver core, there's a question marks. It could be a lot better than people realize if Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs comes through. But you can't just put all your chips on the rookies here. Allen Lazard is a guy who caught 8 touchdowns last year. Yeah, he didn't sparkly. He actually regressed a little bit in terms of like yards per target and even catch rate. But, in the red zone, he was a pretty key guy for Aaron Rodgers. And we've seen him struggle. We go back to the Tampa game in those playoffs 2 years ago. They couldn't bring down the easy 2-point conversion. Rodgers needs someone like Lazard in the red zone. I think him and Robert Tonyan going to be key figures in this offense for that purpose again this year. So I think Lazard is important to bring back for the Packers. They need some kind of stability. Randall Cobb ain't it anymore. I don't even want to talk about Sammy Watkins, relying on that guy. So I think Lazard is actually a pretty pivotal figure. And I think the Packers do need to bring him back, or they may struggle a bit at the start of the year. They can't just throw these rookies into the fire and expect them to just be going off from week one.
Because we all know you can only rely on Sammy Watkins week one every season. Pearce, what do you think?
Even that's up for debate at this point. I mean, come on.
Pearce, do you think the Packers should make this a priority right now?
Did Allen Lazard forget that he's Allen Lazard? I don't even know if the people watching this know who Allen Lazard is. Even the typical DFS player, you're not even playing Allen Lazard unless you're playing Showdown. It was the only time we ever talked about Allen Lazard. Yeah, he had, 40 catches, 500 yards, 8 touchdowns. And almost all of that was a product of being on the field with Devontae Adams. And so he was the guy that was open, and Aaron Rodgers was glad to pass him the ball. How's he going to do that when he doesn't have a superstar wide receiver taking the pressure off him? Like the only way that he is going to excel is if Watson and Watkins have an amazing season. And if the rookie and Watkins somehow has more than one good week, then they're the ones that should be paid. They're the ones that are getting it done, not Lazard. It's pretty unbelievable that Lazard is asking for more money.
Yeah,
I'm shocked.
Look at the depth chart. I'm not actually shocked that he's asking for more money. I mean, you're right. Like, he probably doesn't deserve it. But if you look at the depth chart, it's a high leverage situation for Alan Lazard. He's basically saying, do you really want to go and throw in Sammy Watkins in week 1? And so
they wouldn't pay for Adams. Now they're going to pay for Lazard. If they do that, they're just out of their minds.
Well, I think a lot of people know who DeMarcus Lawrence is, and he said recently that he's coming out this year to take back the Cowboys sack lead from Micah Parsons when Parsons says, yeah, they're not going to get it back. Cowboys ranked 7th here in scoring defense, 19th in yardage. You had 13th in sacks with 41. Pearce, this is a defense that people should be wary about, and especially like starting quarterbacks should be a little nervous about in 2022. They had a good pass defense last season, but they just weren't really good against the big play.
They put up good numbers and they look great on paper and on the page, but they played one of the weakest schedules in football. They play in a weak division, and they'll play in a weak division again. And I wouldn't roster any of those NFC East offenses against them because they're just not good offenses. But if there's a good offense, I have no problem attacking the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they were just on the right side of variance with 26 interceptions. There's going to be a regression to the mean. There's just no way that they're going to have another 26 interceptions this season. You take those big plays away. They gave up plenty of yards last season. You take those big plays away, and this defense looks very human. And I won't say it's overrated. It's just, they got pretty fortunate with all of the turnovers.
Yeah, Geoff, so they rank 3rd in quarterback rating against, 4th in pressure percentage, 1st in interceptions, also the 2nd best 3rd down defense in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good turnaround for the Cowboys. The first year Mike McCarthy was there, obviously the defense was just a disaster. So bringing in Dan Quinn has certainly been helpful. But I'm pretty much in lockstep with Pearce here. Like, we don't need to get too crazy here. Yes, and look, let's bring in the fantasy aspect into it. I think for DFS, you match the Cowboys up against weaker defenses or weaker offenses, especially in the NFC. With suspect O-lines. There's going to be some 15, 20 point potential here. Absolutely. Because they've got a couple guys who can just rack up the sacks. They've got playmakers in the secondary. That's good. But you look at their overall, their DVOA and just the yardage allowed and what they're allowing. It's middle of the pack. It's not that good. I'm not going to be scared off a good offense, just like Pearce said. So yeah, I expect this offense or this defense, we'll have a pretty solid year, but they're going to get exposed in spots too, I think. I don't think that we should go overrating them or anything like that. They got some great talent. Again, from a sack perspective, I think that you should be looking at that. Their sack rate for DFS and even season long, they're going to be a good team to mix in your DST core. But, I wouldn't rate them in a top 5 or anything like that.